Thanks for coming, Sam. Appreciate it.
My pleasure,
buddy.
John. Sure.
Okay. Give me your real name.
Samuel August Simon, Jr.
When was your date of birth, Sam?
August 10 in 1958.
Okay. What's your current address?
7200 Ohio River Road in Sciotoville.
Okay. And where did you live prior to that?
Baird Avenue. Grew up on Baird Avenue in Portsmouth.
Baird Avenue in Portsmouth, Ohio.
Yeah.
The reason I asked the question is the library likes to get a little family tree, a little background about you and that sort of thing. Who were your parents? What are your parents' name?
Samuel A. Simon and Mary Margaret Lindner.
What was your mother's name?
Lindner, Landner.
Annie Lindner. Okay. Were they both local? Were they from this county?
Both local from the county.
Okay. And your father's, well, tell me your grandparents' names on your father's side.
Okay, on my father's side would be John Simon and Georgia Simon. She was a Jones back in before.
Okay.
Georgie's
Okay.
Jones.
Now, how far back can you go on your father's side?
Oh, back to John Baptiste Norjaw came over on the boat. That's about as far as I can go. And they think
Baptiste?
John Baptiste from France. They came from August came from the French.
When was that? Do you have an idea?
In the 18s, I think mid-18s, and they settled over in French Ohio, which is now called Pond Creek.
Okay,
And
right.
so he came over with his daughter and the wife, and the rest of the family never made the trip. And his daughter ended up marrying a John Simon, and therefore, there we come.
There you go.
Five generations over there. Now we're probably at 7. John Simon is the 5th generation over there on Pond Creek now. He's still at the family homestead.
Is that the John Simon who has the sorghum thing?
That is the one, John Simon. Yes.
We have interviewed John.
He's good.
Yeah. Now, have you ever been to France? Have you ever gone to France to see the old?
Not yet, and I mean to go there because there was a cross that John Baptiste put in that town of Alsace-Lorraine.
Okay.
That is still standing today.
Is that right?
And I want to go look at it. We've had family in the past go on over, but it's been a while.
Now, your mother, what was her name? Lindner?
Lindner.
Okay. And she was from Scioto County.
Yes.
What were her parents' names?
Okay, that was Carl E. Lindner and Dora Rout.
Okay, Dora Rout. Okay. And how far back can you go on that side?
Only as far back as they had a big fire over in Kentucky, Flemingsburg, that burned up all of our records on my grandmother's side. So we had some full-blooded Cherokee Indian squaw that jumped off the train, didn't want to go to the reservation, and we came from that side. I've always, been interested in that, but the records are burnt.
Oh, thank God.
So,
Okay. Has anybody in the family done a tree, done any genealogical work?
on the John Simon side, they've got a nice book.
Okay. Who has that book now?
We all have a copy of it somewhere in our archives.
Okay. Now, did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes. Yeah, I was number 5 out of 6.
Okay.
With 2 sisters first, Sherry Carver now and Linda Daniels now.
Okay.
And followed by 4 brothers. John Carl Simon, Air Force. Daniel Thomas Simon, named after my dad's 2 best friends, Dan Sands and Tom Lynch.
There you
It's
go.
interesting. And then Samuel, he was a Navy man. Then I was the Marine.
You were the Marine.
Yes. And then my younger brother, Matthew Simon, he's in the Orkin Army.
He's one to what?
In the Orkin Army.
Orkin Army.
Well, he kills
Orkin, I
bugs.
hear you.
Yeah.
Orkin. He works for Orkin.
Yes.
I know him.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
And so are they all living now? Your siblings are?
All living, and we're close-knit, and everybody's local.
Oh, good. That's a good family gathering and family gathering time, isn't it?
It is. We got so many. So blessed with so many. We're many now.
So are you married, single, divorced, widowed, separated, all the above?
I'm happily single in a nice relationship after all these years. So,
All right. Do you have any kids?
I have 1 child,
Uh-huh.
and she's a direct descendant of Jenny Wiley on her mom's side.
She's a direct descendant of Jenny Wiley.
Yes.
Okay, there's some history there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So her name is Jessica Nicole Simon.
Is she local?
Yes.
Okay.
She works over at the MRDD for the special needs children
Yeah.
at Tavern Rife School.
Okay.
I'm really proud with her.
Are you currently employed or retired or?
I kind of do my own self thing. I retired from N&W Railroad after 20 years. I took an early. And then I got a tavern in Portsmouth for a while. I still own it, but I don't currently operate it. And then I own and maintain and manage some commercial real estate and residential.
Okay.
So I'm kind of working for myself now.
That tavern is the famous Blockhouse, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is.
Now, where did you go to school?
I went to Holy Redeemer right here,
Holy Redeemer? Did
Yes.
you graduate from Notre Dame then?
and I graduated from Notre Dame High School.
What year did you graduate?
1977.
So you graduated in 77. While you were in school, and especially in high school, did you work anywhere? Did you have summer jobs or anything?
Yeah, I started off early teens, maybe 10, carrying the paper for Portsmouth Times.
Yeah.
And was an honor carrier and was able to have my own checkbook. And so my route was on Baird Avenue and Franklin Boulevard.
Okay.
So then some grass cutting jobs, and junior year worked at McDonald's. In the senior year I worked at Wendy's, and then subsequently joined the Marine Corps because I didn't want a fellow classmate to come in and see me working there and me ask him if he want cheese with that.
Okay, I hear you. So, but sounds like right after you graduated, you joined the Marines, somewhere in that area? Or
Yes, yeah, I didn't feel like I was college bound yet, and I just thought, what would be good, the best for you, Sammy, is to go and work on a resume through the United States Armed Forces, and while you're trying to figure out what it is you're supposed to do in your life, just do a hitch in the service. And I thought, well, that kind of narrows it down. There's only the Marines.
Of course. I apologize for being in the Army.
Hey, that's all right.
So when did you join the Marines? When did you take the oath?
1977, probably, when I shipped over to Parris Island was August 1st, so it was somewhere around May, maybe April.
Okay. How long was basic training boot camp then?
3 months back in that day.
3 months?
Yes.
Okay. And did you like boot camp?
I actually, yeah, I did. And strangely enough.
Only Marines say that.
I get it.
So you did, it was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, it's different.
Very much so.
Okay.
Very much so.
Did you have an MOS, what we talk about?
Yeah, 1381, which was we would come in on the first and third waves if we landed at a beach landing. We were to set up and maintain the beach. What we did was a lot of helicopter work where we would fly in sticks of men, that's what they would call the numbers, and or equipment. So we would actually also hook up from the flying helicopter, it would come down and put out the hoist to hook up with. And the funny thing about that was that it creates a lot of static electricity. And there was no ground because we're up in the air. So when you go to grab that, if you didn't have your ground stick,
You felt it.
oh yeah, yeah. And on maneuvers, the pilots thought that was pretty funny if we forgot our stick because we get shot.
What'd you train with, an M16?
The M16.
Were you, well, of course, every Marine's an infantryman.
Yes.
Was that your job then, infantry, or did
Yeah,
you
we
have
were.
another subspecialty?
We were basically close to being a ground. We were combat support.
Okay. All right. So 3 months at Parris Island, was that it?
Parris Island.
Where did you go after that? What happened?
I came down to the amphibious base of Camp Lejeune, and that was my headquarters. I spent a little bit of time in Quantico, Virginia, which was a really neat job. And I shipped overseas twice with our Marine Amphibious Division.
I meant to ask you this. What did your parents think about you joining the Marines?
Oh, my dad wasn't real happy about it. He said, I'm going to get in there and talk to that recruiter. What kind of things did he tell you? I'm just going to get in there and have us. And he did.
Did he?
Yeah, my mom cried. She didn't want to lose her little baby boy, Sammy.
Yeah.
But Yeah. So.
Your dad was in the service.
Yes.
What was he in?
Army.
Army.
World War II.
Okay. Well, let's talk about him a little
Yes.
bit then.
Great.
Okay?
Yes.
So you ended up going to Guantanamo after, or no? Where did you go overseas?
I went to, overseas. My first ship out was to the North Atlantic. No, I'm sorry, I have to take back. To the Mediterranean cruise. And so we went to Turkey and Spain and Greece. There's another one there somewhere, but it was neat to go over and see the Rock of Gibraltar and
Had to do that.
go through some of the Navy things that they said that they saw a sea bat and we would come and look at it and it would be underneath a box, and so the rookies would look underneath the box, and when they would be bent over looking through the box, here comes a Navy guy with a big old paddle, kind of what. So yeah, it was fun.
So, but you're on board ship, aren't you? It's not like you're being transferred to a base, like say the Air Force or something like that. You're on board a ship.
On ship, yeah, 5 months that first time.
What was the name of the ship?
The USS Shreveport.
Shreveport. Okay.
Yes.
Was it what kind of ship?
It was our flagship, and it was a LSD. So we could, the belly would pull down. You could drive the Amtrak's inside, and we had a helicopter pad for the top of it as well.
Okay, all right. So you got to go to Turkey, and you got to go to Greece and Italy, or somewhere?
We went to
Spain
Italy as well, and Spain, yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so that's 5 months over in the Mediterranean. Were you married then?
No.
Okay. What was your rank then?
Corporal. I made the corporal meritoriously, and it took me a year and a half to get to non-commissioned officer.
Did you have did you go on leave on when you go to Greece, for example? Would you go on shore?
Yes.
For leave? Okay.
Yeah.
What does a young unmarried Marine do when he's on shore leave?
He takes all his money and he goes and buys beer and cigarettes to trade and look for women and maybe...
Oh, really?
Yeah, and fight the Navy guys. And,
Fight the Navy guys?
yeah, or other Marines if there wasn't nobody to fight. And that's the types of things that young servicemen do.
Exactly. So five months in the Mediterranean. Then what happened?
Okay, then we came back from the Med. I think I did a North Atlantic tour when we had with a big NATO cruise.
Okay.
And that was really neat. Up until the point when my father passed while I was in the middle of the cruise, and then we're having a simulation of a big beach landing with our North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So we had different countries in with us doing our operations. So there was a complete radio silence, and therefore I wasn't notified. Somewhere along the line where they were supposed to telegraph it in a secret code, it didn't get passed. So 11 days went, and it's just one of those sad tragedies, but it's, we had some, it's pretty top secret operation going on at that point in time.
Yeah. Did you, when you're on board ship like that, and you're in the North Atlantic and the Mediterranean, did you see any Soviet vessels, any Soviet ships or planes flying overhead?
Did not. We heard tale, but I didn't particularly see any.
Okay. Now, when you would do a simulation invasion, where would you do that? Like Scotland or Ireland or
Greenland?
Greenland? Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long was your North Atlantic?
Well, that got cut short because they did finally fly me home to be with the family from Denmark. So it was supposed to be a 4 or 5 month cruise, but I was cut short at about a month and a half.
Okay. All right. Well, then what happened to you? Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Well, then I came back to, after my leave and bereavement with my family, I went back down to Camp Lejeune, and in my MOS, which is a 1381, I had some time in grade, and they wanted to bring 4 specialists to help test out a new helicopter, a CH-43 Echo. strongest helicopter in the Western Hemisphere. So we went to Quantico, Virginia to do these tests and lift some pretty amazing equipment. Graders, road graders, howitzers with the ammunition, water buffaloes. So I was chosen to do that, and that was probably my favorite thing to be, just right outside the nation's capital. In the same building with the people that were with Marine One that flew the president around. And back then it was President, our peanut guy. Help me here.
Carter.
Yes.
The peanut guy.
Yes. And his daughter got to fly around in that helicopter. It's just a little short story that they had a little birthday party and they had lifesavers and they would lick them and stick them inside the helicopter. Chelsea and the kid, that wasn't her. That was President Carter's children.
Yeah, whatever her name was.
Yes.
I can't remember it either.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
Was she in the helicopter with you, or did you fly with her?
No, we were just in the same buildings with those folks, but I didn't have that clearance.
Did you see her? See them?
No, never did. No, they would go pick them. We'd leave base, and they'd take a short ride over and pick them up right in the lawn at the White House.
For the period of time you were in the Marines then, did you ever see anybody famous? See any presidents or see any Hollywood people or anything like that?
Actually, no.
Just fellow Marines, huh?
Yes.
Put up with those guys.
Yeah, they were something.
How long did that duty last with that experience?
That was 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happened?
Well, I came back to Camp Lejeune and finished my time out and was just about ready to re-enlist. I signed up when I went in for I wanted to go for 2 years, so they didn't have it anymore. And I signed up for 3, and that was almost unheard of. So 3 years active and 3 years inactive. When my 3 years was coming close, and they call that being short. Mm-hmm. So I thought about re-enlisting and picking up a sergeant stripe and going over to Hawaii. But I just on the fence about it. Still don't know, life would have been different. Who knows if I'd even still be here. But so I came home, and then I joined the Army. After I got on I came home after my
I didn't know you were in the Army.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had an Army unit here in Portsmouth, some reserves.
Yeah.
So after a short college career, I got a job with the railroad. And at that point in time, got married, had a baby, and wanted a little extra income, and I joined the Army Reserve.
Okay.
And was in there for a year.
What kind of unit was that? That wasn't the engineers, was it?
Yes, was our engineers.
That is our engineers.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. How long were you in the reserves?
That was a 1-year enlistment.
1 year, they allowed that?
Yes, because I was already in an inactive reserve status.
Okay.
With the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did that, then the Marine Corps did the discharge, and Army picked me up, and just for 1 year.
Okay. So you were, that was 1 year, and you got out after 1 year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'd have to go to summer camp, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Where was that?
Camp.
Was that up north, Camp Perry?
I believe it might have been it.
Something like that. Okay. Did you like the Army?
It was like being in the Boy Scouts. I'm so sorry.
How about the Marines?
I loved them.
Did you like military life?
I did. I liked the structure. I liked the discipline, the respect. These are very, very good attributes of a real soldier, and I did enjoy that.
Have you kept in contact with any of your buddies from the Marines or the Army? Or?
No, and that saddens me. They tried to let us know, hey, you guys need to get some addresses, and the Social Security numbers would have been fine.
Yeah.
We could have picked each other up somehow, but no. And you really kind of hate that. Back in the day, we all had our Social Security numbers on our dog tags.
Did
in
you?
the 70s, yes. So,
Right.
name, rank, and Social Security number is what we'd give them instead of name, rank, and serial number.
Yeah.
Just an interesting thing for a period there.
So you came home, and you eventually were, I guess your mom at that time, she had survived your father.
Yeah,
And so I guess she was happy to see you and everything?
very much so.
Yeah. Is she still living?
She passed just about 8 short years ago, ripe old age of 88, and still very much in love with her soldier from World War II up until the day she passed.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get any medals? Did you have any awards or anything?
We got a few citations here and there,
Uh-huh.
and just, well, meritorious, a good conduct medal.
Uh-huh.
What else we had?
You,
Expert.
good conduct?
Yeah, how about that?
That doesn't
Shocking. And expert rifleman and all these
All
things.
right.
Yeah.
I kind of see that. I can see that. Now you had any souvenirs from that? I see a uniform, and you're a member of the VFW too, aren't you?
Yeah, well, not VFW, but the American Legion
no,
Post
I meant to
23.
say the American Legion,
And some souvenirs. I got a few. Elimination grenade. I'm probably not supposed to have.
That's a souvenir.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Some
about
booby traps.
from Greece or
Oh
Italy
yeah,
or Spain.
I brought some artifacts back home. I donated one to the church. They were tapestries.
Oh,
So, it was very befitting since I, traded bootleg cigarettes for them.
Did
I
you?
would donate it to the church, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything better.
There's a
to
nice
do.
picture of the Last Supper and some of Jesus and some nice tapestries, really. I've still got some.
You have other members of the family have been in the service, haven't you? Your
Yeah.
siblings, and your father was in World War II.
Yes,
Okay, was he in the army? You said.
he was in the Army.
Okay, anything you can tell me about that?
Well, when they joined, my mom and my father, they fell in love and they were trying to talk out of getting married by their parents just in case he didn't make it back from the service from the European theater. And they couldn't be away from each other. So she went and got married and they went to California and Texas. When they did get married, they had 2 soldiers stand up with them, 2 local men. I think it was Mr. Summers and I'll think of the other fellow's name in a little bit, Mr. Vetter. And they were the best man in the maid of honor.
Oh my!
So
One of those guys was the maid of honor.
yeah.
Okay.
He was pretty humbly.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, whichever
That's
one it
all
was, I
right.
won't say. Mom went to work at Chester, PA in the shipyards while he was overseas.
Oh.
On his way overseas, he joined with the 13th Armored Division. Of course, they spent a lot of good time getting married and, before he shipped out. It was hard for her when he did ship out, and they did all their travels by train back then. Joined the 13th Armored Division, and when they were shipping over, his ship encountered some difficulties that they had to come back and get it worked on. So the rest of them landed in a different area. When my father's 13th Armored Division landed, they came in through Austria, and they liberated town after town after town until they met up with Patton at the Battle of Bastogne.
Did they?
Yes.
Okay.
So Dad brought home some swastikas and daggers and some German Luger and these types of things.
You still have that stuff?
My brother John does. We had to have them redone. They all burned up in a family fire in 1984.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah. So Dad, I got this. I keep.
Yeah. What is that?
This is actually for the honor guard. We do our 21 gun salute for our veterans when they die, whether it was in war or not. So this is this is for the honor guard. Well, I brought it today to tell a little story.
Okay.
One thing I do love to do is to do these 21 gun salutes and fold the flag and give it to the widows or the children if the widows passed. My father, while he was on maneuvers in combat, he operated a half track. Sometimes he would drive it, other times he would be up on the turret and run the gun. Well, there was another soldier with him, and Dad pulled him and said, "Okay, are you ready for me to be up?" And he said, "No, Simon." He said, "No, Simon, I got this for a while." Well, he got cut down and slumped down in, and it killed him.
Yeah.
And he took my father's place.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have got to try to look through the records and find the War Department and when soldiers were taken,
Yeah.
and try and get a word out to his family, because if his sacrifice, my family lives.
Exactly.
And I just want to tell that story. God bless him and for his sacrifice. Thank you.
Have you been able to track anything down? You go to, I know there's a National Archives.
I need to do that. I need
Yeah.
to get these, some information on how to look.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I've always wanted to do, and yet never have done it yet, you know.
The Veterans Office down here might be able to help in that area. I'm not sure. So your dad, he was in combat then?
He was in
Battle of
combat.
the Bulge.
Yeah, he was, definitely. And he didn't speak too much of it. He mentioned one time when him and another soldier were crawling, they were underneath of a bridge, and the German soldiers were walking across the wooden bridge, speaking in German. And Dad said that he was so scared that he could hear his own heartbeat, and that he was afraid that they would hear his heartbeat. That's
Pretty
it's
scary.
coming pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, Sam, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Anything else you'd like to?
Well, shout out to the rest of my family. I've got an uncle that was over at Carl Linder, was a prior owner of the blockhouse.
Yeah.
And he was over in...
He was your uncle there?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Where was he?
He went in the Navy, and he went on over to Japan and fought in the islands there.
Was he a Marine or Navy?
He was Navy, and I have another uncle that was a Marine during World War II on my mama's side. And
All your brothers?
all my brothers,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Were any of your brothers, now you were the youngest son?
there's one son younger than my little brother Matthew, but I was the youngest son in the service.
Okay.
So all three of us joined the service. I got me this while I was in the Marine Corps. There is a letter on the back, and
Are
that
these
was- these are my brothers. And there was a newspaper article in the Portsmouth Times about the three Simon brothers representing the Army, the Navy, not the Army, but the Navy,
Air Force.
the Air Force, and the Marines, of course.
Yeah.
And
Well, you got all four services represented. You
With my
represent the
father.
Marines and the Army.
yes, as well. How about that? And World War I and World War II with my grandfather and my father, and that was written in '78.
Yes.
So
This is a letter from your dad to you, isn't it?
yes.
And it talks about getting a letter from you. Matt's supposed to leave with the Walburns family. Leave.
Leave to go to vacation to the Outer Banks.
Yeah. Well, that's just a short letter here telling you
Yeah.
how things are going.
And he was proud to, let me know that we were in the newspaper.
Good deal.
Yeah.
That's great. What is that?
That's a picture of my grandson.
Of course.
And then on the back, I guess I am pretty much ate up with the military. I just love them. I've got a picture here of the Marines in a battle, all hunkered down.
Would that be Iwo Jima, maybe?
That is going to be Iwo Jima, 1945,
Yeah.
February 19.
Yeah.
And this is a
What do you got
picture
there?
of the nurses' corps, my aunt and their nurses' corps out of Portsmouth, and my uncle that they married. He was the Marine.
Now this is your aunt, right there. What was her name?
Walters now, that was her maiden name was Lindner. She married a Joe Walters.
Okay.
Aunt Jean and Uncle Joe.
Very good.
Yeah.
I would just mention that you honor the military. You have the blockhouse, which is a cavern, cafe, a bar, and on the wall you have put pictures of veterans, haven't you?
Yes.
That's always been
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, when I first started the blockhouse, so in about 2004, 2003, somebody had asked me, what is your theme going to be? And I didn't really know that much about the bar business. And, there's a theme of NASCAR, basketball, baseball, these types of things. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to make a somebody famous, it's going to be famous people. And I contacted my mother, and there was still several people from Central Catholic that had went to war during World War II. So I started off with a lot of black and white pictures of all of her people that she went with. And once we started that, people would come in and I'd say, hey, we'd like to have your picture. And it grew to the whole wall.
The whole wall.
The whole wall.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I can't think of anything. I think we covered quite a bit. And I
Thanks,
certainly
man.
thank you.
Okay, buddy.
My hat's off to you for doing this. And my hat's off to all the veterans for all that you do. Thank you.
feel the
Thank
same
you.
about them.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. Okay.